it has nothing to do with the ideology behind it. It has nothing to do with the idea that, oh, these religious people, they made this happen, and it's because of religion. Well, if you think that, then you'll be ignorant to the way in which your own ways of thinking and your own excesses could bring about the exact same thing. And sometimes, especially now, sometimes worse in both ways because of technology and because of the power of technology. Now we have access to way more excesses on each side.
This is Jonathan Pedro. Welcome to the Symbolic World.
One of the accusations that you heard from the new atheist in the past few decades is, of course, how horrible religion is and how religion has done these things like the Inquisition, like the witch hunts, the witch burnings, the oppression of difference, the oppression of minorities, the oppression of other religions, all of these types of accusations that you hear that religion is part of it. But what if I told you, or what if we consider that, in fact, all of these behaviors are actually just aspects of human behavior. They're aspects of the human microcosm of how humans interact with each other, and that they can be found everywhere and anywhere at every single time. And so I think that this way of understanding, which is that there are certain patterns of being, and those patterns of being, they play themselves out in people, they play themselves out in societies, and they are just reflections. And they're reflections of usually the symbolic pattern, which is the way in which the multiple and the one join together. They are reflections of how it is that multiple people can participate and become one at a higher level, that is a societal level. The same thing in yourself, that is how all these thoughts, how all of these body parts, how they can all join together and be one person. That most of the things that people criticize religion for, they are simply aspects of the symbolic pattern applied to different spheres. And so sometimes those aspects, they go wrong or they become excessive, and then they have to be balanced out with other aspects. And those can happen, by the way, at both sides. We accuse, for example, religion of being oppressive and harsh and judging and witch burning and, inquisition and stuff like that. But you have to remember that the Nietzscheans, or that Nietzsche and his followers, accuse religion often of being the opposite, of being too weak, of being too open, of being forgiving, of being this kind of weak man's vision of reality, of not being active enough and not being vital enough and not defending ourselves enough. And so which one is it? Is it the one or is it the other? The truth is that it's both. And that it's both not just for religion, but that it's both for every single different aspect of human reality. And so a way to understand it is, think of it as your body, right? And so your body, there are aspects of your body which are there to defend you from the dangerous outside aspects, right? They're there to defend you from germs, from bacteria, from things that could harm your body. But there are also aspects of your body that are there to include things from the outside. And so you're eating stuff all the time. So you're taking things from the outside and you're bringing it into your body. And then those things are becoming parts of your body. And so your body has to find a kind of balance between the capacity to engage with the outside in a positive, fruitful way, for opportunity to manifest itself. And your body also has to have mechanisms which stop the bad stuff on the outside from contaminating you and from killing you, to be honest. And that very structure is one that happens also at a level of a group, at a level of society. Now, at the level of society, there are aspects of that society, and now the aspects will often become embodied. They'll become embodied in personalities that will play different roles. Now, in you, those personalities will be contained in you. So you will also have aspects of your personality that will be exploratory and that will be looking for new things, that will be trying to figure out new opportunities. And you'll have aspects of your personality which will be cautious and will be wary of things that could hurt you and, things that could endanger you. And so you'll be scared at night, you'll be scared in the dark, you'll be cautious in places that you don't know the people. But you'll also have aspects of you that will be extroverted when you're meeting new people and will go out to them and greet them and talk to them and see in them if there are some precious things that can make your world more than what it was before. Now, different people will have a different balance of these different aspects. And a society will have different people that play those same roles in the society. Some people that will be more cautious of that which can endanger and destroy and contaminate, and some people that will be more exploratory, more open, more, looking out to see how it is that we can include things from the outside in order to make us stronger and to make us more. And that will, all these levels, these balances will play themselves out in a society. That is, that sometimes they'll be more manifested of certain aspects, sometimes there'll be less, and sometimes that can go too far in yourself. Sometimes you can be too cautious, and then that will have consequences. Sometimes you can be too open, and that will have consequences. And the same thing happens with a society. Sometimes societies can be too cautious, and then that will constrict them and close them off. And sometimes a society can be too open. Think of Open Society, the George Soros organization, and then you will basically start to drown, or you'll start to, you might cease to exist in either one of those excesses. And that is really the way to kind of understand it. And so for example, like when, it's funny because, in the 1960s, for example, the people in that time, they accused the religious people of being pearl clutchers, right? And so this idea of trying to protect, what's a pearl clutcher? A pearl clutcher is someone who grabs their pearls and is afraid of losing them, right? Is afraid of losing this precious thing and has a kind of gut reaction to protect their precious thing in order to prevent it from being destroyed or being taken or being stolen from the outside. And so the let's say the hippie secular types accuse the religious people of being pearl clutchers. That is, Puritans, moral Puritans, people who are just trying to protect their values, protect their moral codes, even if they don't totally understand them, and that there's an excess in that. So because of that, they're prude. They're kind of, they have this kind of finger wagging aspect to them, and they have a kind of judgmental attitude towards everything that is around them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, what's funny now is that, of course, we see that now it's the secular people that are doing that. And the same types of behaviors are appearing in the secular world. And so you have people that are canceling others because of purity motifs. We're trying to protect our group from a kind of infection of ideas that would be that would destroy us. And so we have the same type of pearl clutching motif. We have the same kind of Puritan behavior. So the people that go online and cancel others, the people that go online and accuse everybody of, the excesses, for example, of cancel culture, these are actually the same kind of people that were accused of being finger-wagging Puritans in the religious sphere before. They're just modes of being. And so they're now the same types of people. The vegan, what I remember a few years ago, she kind of disappeared. Remember the vegan teacher? She was a Sunday school teacher. She was the cliche of the church lady. And so the vegan teacher and the church lady are the same. It's like this, and this kind of, this like being annoyed and judgmental and trying to moralize people into certain behaviors. All of this is just modes of being. And so you can see the same, for example, in the kind of openness aspect as well. And so you could say that you can also accuse, for example, certain aspects of our society today of being too open, of including so many things that you're drowning, that you're basically self-destroying, because if you drink poison, and if you take too much alcohol, or you take too many drugs, or you're not careful of what it is that you put into your body, it can lead you to death, And so this can manifest itself at different level, and so if you think about, I don't know, some Irish village a few hundred years ago where everybody was too drunk, and that this was seriously causing problems in the society. Now we have people on fentanyl, like fentanyl zombies in our cities, and an excess of homeless people, and that it's encroaching on the capacity for the cities to hold together. And so the patterns will manifest themselves in the same way at different levels. And then some people will say, back in the days of that little Irish village, I say Irish, it could have been any place, but let's say this little Irish village, some people have said, like their life is hard, a hard man working hard. Just let him be, like, let him have his little pleasure. There's no point in finger wagging them. Life's difficult enough. Let them live their life, and therefore it continues. And then you would have in the same town or in the same city the finger wagging lady or the finger wagging guy who's trying to impose a rule or a moral code, and that person is neither good nor bad. Sometimes you need a vegan teacher type in order to bring things back to order. Sometimes it's annoying, and that person is excessive and pushes too hard, and then tries to take all the fun out of reality. And that's when you want there to be a kind of dance. And that's really the way to understand how it is that all these different aspects of the world, from the person the canceller, because sometimes you actually do need to cancel people. That's what jail is for. That's when someone breaks the rules, there has to be consequences. And for all intents and purposes, that's a kind of canceling. When you put someone in jail, you're canceling them from society for a certain amount of time. Now, that is absolutely necessary for any society to exist. And you need that in yourself too. You need the discipline. You need sometimes to be able to say, you know what? Now's not the time to just hang out and to relax. Now's the time to get up and do the dishes, to, clean the house, or to get to work, to answer those emails or whatever it is. But then you also need someone at some aspect of yourself to at some point say, all right, now that's enough. Now go sit down with your friends. Now have a drink. Now let's have a nice time together. Let's play a game. Let's do that. And so you need that in your world. And so and you see, it's like, and it's kind of annoying. And like, I've probably played that game before where people say, Spanish Inquisition, the Spanish Inquisition, this horrible time when the society was completely against these people that didn't fit, and, accused them and murdered them and did all these things. And it's like, yeah, And then people say, yeah, but it's nothing compared to the Gulag. The Gulag was the worst. And no, it's nothing compared to the Nazis, and the Nazis that put people in concentration camps. And it's like, and then other people say, well, it's nothing compared to the American prison system, where it's like 1% of the population is in prison, and et cetera, et cetera. Like, the truth is that these patterns exist all the time, everywhere. And that we have this balancing act. And for example, the very fact that in certain quarters of society, we only see, especially now, we see that. Like, it can help you see where we are in the world. We only see the moments when there was constriction on the outside. Like, we only see the moment when the society became very strict and tried to exclude people from it. We only see that as negative. And we, for some reason, can't remember or can't see the moments where the opposite was true. The moments where things were let loose way too much. And that, people stopped having children. People started to work to do only things in order to have pleasure, or to, to kind of, and moments when society fall apart, like at the end of the Roman Empire, of course. But there are different times that happened as well in our society. Some of those times, are very close to the moments where we consider things like the Spanish Inquisition. It's like the Renaissance courts, for example, or even later, some of the Enlightenment courts were very chaotic, and were very open, and anything was possible, and they let all kinds of behaviors into their courts, kind of immoral and dangerous behaviors, which led to the breakdown of the cohesion of the society. So there are many times when there have been excesses of one or the other on each side, but it's mostly important to be able to understand this as a structure. And why is it important to understand as a structure? Because we want to be able to recognize when it is that certain behaviors, the finger wagging lady, or the canceling, or the putting people in jail, is a necessary part of society, and when that's okay, and also be able to recognize when that goes too far, and when it becomes a prison state, when it becomes a kind of totalitarian type of regime. And we also have to be able to see that it has nothing to do with the ideology behind it. It has nothing to do with the idea that, these religious people, they made this happen, and it's because of religion. Well, if you think that, then you'll be ignorant to the way in which your own ways of thinking and your own excesses could bring about the exact same thing. And sometimes, especially now, sometimes worse in both ways because of technology and because of the power of technology. Now we have access to way more excesses on each side, both the kind of dangerous cancel, destroy people's lives side, with surveillance. And also, we haven't seen it in a while, but the idea of a extermination policy that would happen today would be very easy to implement compared to, in the Middle Ages with technology. And so the same with the kind of openness and this capacity to engage in behaviors that tend towards pleasure, that tend towards openness and to exploration and all of that. Now there's way more possibility of that. And so we have to be attentive and see how these are just modes of being in society. And it is not very useful to simply point out the ones that are in the camp that we don't like, and to simply point out that, the inquisitional types that are religious or a-religious, or the kind of decadent type that is either, the decadent popes of the 16th century, or whether it is the decadent, Diddy party types that exist now, that they have nothing to do, like I said, with the world in which you're involved. They're just modes of being that can become out of control. And so we have to be attentive to that in ourselves, in our societies, and all around us. And hopefully that will also, first of all, make us more perceptive of what's going on. And it will also hopefully make us more humble, because you've got that inside you as well. And you have these different aspects of being inside you, and you have to be careful not to let one or the other take over, And so it's like, there's not much difference between an inquisition person in terms of a society and your OCD, obsessions. And there isn't that much different between the same, like the tendency in the society, the kind of more pleasure-seeking or exploratory aspect of a society, and your also desire to kind of explore new things and to see new things, but then also sometimes to let yourself go and not be disciplined. So hope this was useful. Thanks again for your help. Thanks for your attention. Don't forget, you can go to symbolicworld.com and you can become a member anytime. We have free members that have access to our community there. And also there are paid members with different tiers, different perks for different people to support what it is that we do. So thanks everyone for your attention, and I'll talk to you very soon. Bye-bye.